According to ABC 15's analysis of school administrator contracts and salary data, at least 12 school district superintendents could or already have earned more than $300,000 in compensation in Arizona. As ABC 15's Melissa Blasius reports, Jeremy Caius, the superintendent of the Tullison Union High School District, earned the most, a base salary of $334,000.
But add in bonuses and perks, and you'll find this superintendent made nearly $100,000 more, about $433,000 total.
Well, that's a nice paycheck, but is it too high? Let's talk with Arizona's State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Horne. Mr. Superintendent, we should point out that you don't have a hand in determining these salaries. That's done by local school boards. But what do you think? A salary package approaching $500,000, is that too much for a school district superintendent?
Well, it's obviously much too much. And you're right, this is up to local school boards. We're a local control state. And so the school boards are elected. So citizens should see what their school boards are doing. And if they don't agree with it, they should elect different school board members. Obviously, giving a $400,000 salary, including fringe benefits, is much too much. Let me say this. Most school superintendents work hard and they earn their money. These are exceptional cases, but they're exceptional cases that should not occur. And I've been on a crusade for many years against excessive administrative costs. Going back to my service on a school board, which I served on for 24 years, first thing we did when I got a majority on the school board is we sent half of the administrative staff back into the classroom, because our philosophy is minimize administrative costs, maximize the amount we can pay teachers. We need to maximize what we can pay teachers. And that has been the philosophy that I've been propounding. And in fact, we did a study that showed that districts that spend a higher percentage in the classrooms, particularly teacher salaries, did much better academically than school districts where they paid a higher percentage on administrative costs. And we published that study.
So you mentioned you were a governing board member. That was in the PV school district for all those years. What do these negotiations with a potential superintendent look like?
Well, our philosophy, my philosophy particularly, was to promote from within. When you promote from within, you don't pay. Normally, you give a raise to the person, but you're not paying these kind of excessive salaries that happen when the district thinks they're going to get somebody on a white horse from outside the district to save them and turn things around. And then they find out when they have somebody new that they have negative characteristics that they didn't know about. Promoting from within is much better to know what you're getting, and also you don't end up paying excessive salaries.
So, let's look at this one guy, and pardon me if he feels like a target, but I mean, $334,000 as a base salary, and his compensation, the reason that it's bumped up by at least $100,000 is car allowances, technology allowances, civic engagement funds, additional retirement contributions beyond a state pension, even a housing allowance. I mean, pay your own rent. Everybody else has to pay their own rent. You pay your own rent.
Should they be getting all these extra perks?
Absolutely not. And that's a relatively small district, too. And you find that sometimes in smaller districts. Sometimes you have school boards that are not as capable. And, in general, one doesn't blame the superintendent. One blames the school board. The superintendent isn't going to bargain against himself. It's up to the school board to be sure that what they pay is reasonable. And it's up to the citizens to see what the school board they elected is doing and unelect them if they don't like what they're doing.
So the argument for paying high salaries to these superintendents is the same thing that you hear when, you learn that the CEO of a nonprofit's making a lot of money. If you don't pay somebody good money, you're not going to get a great person necessarily. What do you say to that argument?
I totally disagree with that. I think what you do is you promote from within your best person. You give that person a raise, but you're not going to end up with these highly excessive salaries that school boards sometimes give to attract somebody from another state or something that they think is going to be a savior, and then they find out what the negative qualities are when they get there.
That is Arizona's Superintendent of Schools of Public Instruction, Tom Horne, joining us here on Arizona's Morning News. You know, it's interesting to make the comparison between a school superintendent and somebody who's running a nonprofit. The thing about the nonprofits is you pay somebody who can bring in money.
Right.
Does a superintendent bring in money?
No, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, you know, from donors?
Yeah.
I don't know.
These are government jobs, but they pay a lot more than most government jobs, right?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of money, and I picture that like he does. That's coming out of the classroom. That's money that is not going into the classroom when you're talking about those kinds of dollars.
And I wanted to point out that if you go to our TV partners at ABC 15, their website, which is abc15.com, they've got a complete story on this, and you can even look up your school district superintendent's salary to determine if you want to talk to your school board about whether they're going to get reelected or not.
And remember, the school district isn't paying them. You are.
Right, exactly.
That's coming out of your tax money.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.